Hi, and welcome to the Full Moon Film Buff. This video is the first of a two-part series defining the corpus for this project, what counts as a werewolf and will be considered, what is close but fails to make the cut. You might think this question has an easy answer, but my choices here have a big impact on just how many films are on my to-watch list. As I see it, the core definition of a werewolf is this: a human being who transforms into a beast, classically a wolf, and reverts back into a human more than once. Werewolves also often have a weakness, a silver bullet, if you will. Each element deserves its own dissection and discussion. The first criteria is the easiest and simplest. Werewolves are humans, not aliens, so no the thing, nor animals that turn into humans, so no iteration of the island of Dr. Moreau. The second criteria is in many ways the most interesting and critical: the transformation itself. For a lot of special effects artists, a werewolf transformation scene is their masterpiece, and we will absolutely talk about those scenes. Transformation of some kind is core to the concept of lycanthropy. However, the specifics of the transformation, how it happens, what triggers it, and why this particular human can transform are not limiting requirements. While werewolf stories do fall into some broad types, there is no unified lore on these details. In historical folklore, many werewolves make a spiritual rather than physical transformation. The spirit or soul leaves the body and temporarily takes on a bestial corporeal form. Either physical or spiritual transformation counts for the purposes of this project. This transformation might be voluntary or involuntary, either counts. And the reasons why this particular human can transform are almost impossibly varied as well. Lycanthropes might be born that way, heir to the family curse, or born under certain supernatural or celestial signs. It might be the result of a magical curse cast by a witch or a divine punishment. It could be a disease passed along by a bite. It could come from eating poisonous herbs or potions, eating the flesh of a wolf, drinking water from a wolf's paw print, or cannibalism. It could be a result of wearing a magical belt, bathing in a magical pool, or performing a ritual. Whatever the source of the power, each transformation can be triggered by various methods. Involuntary transformations might be tied to the phase of the moon, magical spells, extreme emotional states, among other triggers. Voluntary transformations could be an internal act of will, the result of putting on a talisman or uttering a spell, among other triggers. As long as there is a transformation, the specifics tell us what the werewolf story is really about. What is lycanthropy a metaphor for in this particular story? The reversion back to human is just as important as the original transformation. Unlike a lot of other movie monsters, becoming a werewolf is not a one way street. For example, zombies are also transformed humans, but they almost never get to be human again. Same with vampires, ghosts, cyborgs, revenants, and tons of others. Additionally, many human beast hybrid movies are weeded out by this criteria. Dr. Seth Grundle turns into a fly. He never comes back. And even in the cases when they do get cured, their transformation was a one time thing, unlike the werewolf's on off switch. Beast from Beauty and the Beast might have been transformed into, uh, well, Beast, but he only transformed once. Werewolves are human most of the time, with a constant threat or promise of becoming the beast again. Dealing with what they did or will do is a huge part of the existence of a werewolf. Now, let's talk about the wolf. It's tempting to limit the corpus just to wolves, or maybe canines in a broader sense. It would certainly make the list of films shorter, but that's not historical. Lots of examples from folklore use the term werewolf, or a related word, to talk about humans transforming into a variety of beasts: wolves, bears, bulls, cats, foxes, birds, and snakes. I'm sure there are other animals I'm not thinking of as well. Additionally, multiple cultures around the world have myths and legends of humans shifting into a variety of bestial forms, like tigers, pumas, hyenas, and jaguars. If we limit ourselves to wolves, we cut off some really interesting films. That said, not every story with the human turning into an animal feels like a werewolf story. To address this, I'm going to automatically count humans who turn into wolves as werewolves. I will also count humans that turn into different animals if the predatory nature of the animal matches the predatory nature of the wolf as honorary werewolves for the purposes of this project. Another important part of the werewolf story is the weakness. Folklore is filled with different tricks to defeat a werewolf. We all know about silver. Blessed weapons are also a common way to stop lycanthropes. This isn't something that will frequently constrain the corpus, though it will occasionally come up. The werewolf's weakness will come up when we discuss werewolf movies. Finally, let's use these criteria to discuss some edge cases and decide whether they make the cut or not. This should clarify my thought process. First, consider Ladyhawke, a classic 1985 medieval fantasy film where a major plot point is Rutger Hauer's character turning into a wolf every sunset and back to a human at dawn as a punishment. However, the movie isn't really about the wolf, nor does the wolf have a weakness. Now let's ponder Turning Red, a brilliant animated 2022 film from Pixar. May, the protagonist, transforms into a large red panda during moments of intense emotion. The movie shares some substantial thematic similarities to the Michael J. Fox film Teen Wolf, clearly a werewolf film, though there are differences in theme as well. While the initial uncontrollable shift to a bestial form fits part of our definition, May does not turn into a wolf, and her red panda is not predatory. Similar logic discounts the Shaggy dog, including its sequel and remake, even though a domesticated dog is closer to a wolf. Third, we'll discuss Cat People, either the 1942 original or the 1982 remake. In either, the protagonist Irina transforms into a Black Panther in moments of sexual arousal or tension. Unlike May from Turning Red, Irina does turn into a predator, even if she doesn't turn into a wolf. So both of those films are on my list. Now, let's discuss Brotherhood of the Wolf, a stunning 2001 French period action horror film. I don't want to spoil the movie, but it does not meet several of the criteria. It absolutely is about the possibility of a werewolf. Brotherhood of the Wolf raises the specter of a probable conundrum. I have not seen every movie on my list. That's kind of the point of this project. There are almost certainly films on the list that look like werewolf movies, but are not, according to the criteria spelled out, like Brotherhood of the Wolf. It gets on the list, mostly because I love it. I'll also discuss any other movie that got on my list, even if the conclusion I reach after watching it is it's only werewolf adjacent. Fifth, we need to consider Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban and other movies with the same issue. Remus Lupin and Fenrir Greyback are most certainly werewolves in the truest and most classical definition of the term. But they are supporting characters in another kind of story. I am limiting myself to movies about werewolves, not just movies with a werewolf or two in it. Finally, I need to address Jacob Black in New Moon, Eclipse, and Breaking Dawn. I've never read the books or seen the movies. I've got nothing against them or people who like them. It just never interested me. But there is no way to argue Jacob isn't a werewolf. And while Jacob might be a minor supporting character in Twilight, I have been informed by reliable sources he's a much more crucial character in the next four movies. He even has a whole team named after him. Much as I might not be interested in this series, I am going to have to watch Twilight to complete the Werewolf project. But since I've got a lot of other movies to watch, I'm not in any hurry. Maybe I'll set some kind of subscriber goal. Give me suggestions down in the comments. Well, there we have it. A werewolf is a human being who changes back and forth between human and wolf related beast form and has some kind of weakness. Next episode, I will explain why I am sticking to movies and how I will deal with other presentations of the werewolf. So, if you enjoy lycanthropes on the silver screen, like and subscribe, share, keep your eye on the moon, and a silver bullet in the chamber.